Week one nearly upon us. It is time to make our predictions for the 2024 season, and we've got a special guest, Winkstradamus, with us on this episode. MVPs, division winners, Super Bowl winners, rookies of the year in 2024. Coming at you right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you, as always, at BD Peacock, at Crocky209. Thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our very special Wednesday guest on this Winky Wednesday. We'll introduce him momentarily. I do want to thank everybody for making this your first listen. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And now, let's bring on today's guest.
Nick Winkler, come on down.
Action News 8 Sports with Nick Winkler.
Can't believe it.
Wink, what's happening, my man? It's that time of year. Everybody's been waiting. Everybody's been calling for it. I asked on Twitter, what do you think the record's going to be? And they said, you know what? We got to wait until Nicholas Winkler makes his predictions on the program. So we're going to do that today momentarily. But first, we got to talk about Trent Williams. He is back. He is at the facility. He was at the podium. The holdout is over. The team is now whole. The team is complete, guys. Christian McCaffrey back at practice, getting ready for week one. Trent Williams back at practice, getting ready for week one. Brandon Aiyuk back on the practice field for the first time since the Super Bowl. Getting ready for week one. The team, Ricky Pearsall aside, now complete. And the Ricky Pearsall, we talked about it, Croc, right? Like, it could have been a galvanizing event with this Ricky Pearsall thing. And Trent Williams said, as soon as he heard about it, he's like, man, I got to get back with my team. And it was all smiles, all hugs, no hard feelings, according to Trent Williams, no hard feelings, according to Brandon Aiyuk. But the quote that really makes you shake your head from Brandon Aiyuk, did you see this one? He said, quote, I might have made it a little bit more difficult than I needed to at the end. Yeah, you think, Brandon Aiyuk? Come on, man. Did it really need to go down to September 1st for you to finally sign your deal and get back with the San Francisco 49ers? But in the end, everybody is back. Everybody is there. Wink, we've talked about the vibes a lot this summer. Where you at? Where you at with the vibes now for this 49ers team heading into week one?
Well, like you said, the galvanizing moment, right, with Ricky Pearsall. Like, I don't know if you saw any of the clips today, but they were interviewing a lot of the guys in the locker room and how they reacted when it happened, right, and how they heard and this and that. And all of them just kind of had the same thing of like, oh, my gosh, it's like it's surreal. It didn't seem like it was really happening. And then it did. And you hear he's fine. And it's like, it kind of brought them all together. Trent Williams said, yeah, like this is one of the reasons I signed and wanted to come back. Like, I wanted to be with my teammates. It's the Aiyuk thing. Now Trent Williams, it's like it's set up perfectly right now. We got a football game on Thursday, football game on Friday, bunch of games on Sunday, and then it's just the Niners on Monday night. Like, it's set up perfectly for 49er fans. Let's go!
The is on fire!
The vibes are up. I've been saying this, I think, really since the Aiyuk signing. My spirits were much better after that. And then, of course, waking up this morning, seeing the Trent Williams news. I woke up, 6 a.m., and somebody's like, Croc, we got him. I'm like, babe, it's going to be a good day, and it's going to be a good year for the San Francisco 49ers.
Absolutely. Do you think Aiyuk, Williams, McCaffrey specifically, do you think they're going to be limited at all going into week one?
Definitely not Williams. I think Williams will be out there.
He'll only play every snap
if he can be. I mean, it's Trent Williams. You know he's been working out. You know he's Trent Williams.
He's going to be good when he's out there, but I think you have to be smart too. And 1 week of practice, we know what Nick Bosa said about it last year. Do you save him from himself a little bit and hold him back just so you don't have that injury? You don't want Trent Williams to walk back, Brandon Aiyuk to walk back in, Christian McCaffrey, who's had a little bit of a calf injury. You don't want to put too much on their plate week one, and now you lose them for a month instead.
And I think you said it. I think the other two guys, the skill position guys, I think their reps will be limited. I think we're going to see a lot of JP Mason coming in this. I think we're going to see a lot of 2 receiver sets, 2 tight ends out there. Aiyuk kind of rotating in and out, quite a bit of Jennings, that sort of thing. And but at the same time, if they're trailing in this football game, they're all going to be out there trying to win a football game. The only time we're going to see some rest, I think, is if the 49ers get themselves a comfortable lead.
Croc, over under carries for Jordan Mason Monday night. I'm putting it at 2.5.
2.5?
I think setting it at 2.5 is a good number. Because let's say hypothetically speaking, he's in for 5 plays. Out of those 5 plays that he's in, will they throw the ball in any of those plays? If so, then that's going to take away from the potential carry. So I think 2.5, that is a number right there to get people to really think how many carries. And you got to be really strategic with how you go about placing that bet.
Kyle Shanahan, way long. I mean, this was ages ago now in OTAs or whatever it was like, yeah, we got to be smart with Christian McCaffrey and not overuse him. He's going to touch the ball every single time he can. Like, we know Kyle, we know Christian McCaffrey. He's going to run off the field, put the number 1 up, come out for 1 play, and then be like, all right, JP, you get 1 play. Good luck. Make the most of it.
As a 49er fan, you just hope they're up big, right? And then it's just JP Mason all 4th quarter, just pounding the rock over and over.
Mario
10 carries. Exactly.
Oh, geez. Who's the most valuable of those 3 players that
Wait a minute, Peacock. I can't let that slide.
What?
You couldn't say like Rob Nin or somebody? You couldn't go with a San Francisco Giant closer?
That wasn't my name. That's what Christian McCaffrey himself said about Jordan Mason, I think, last year at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. So that wasn't mine. An all-time
well, he needs to get with some history at San Francisco Giants.
I can give my due. I would go Rod Beck.
Yeah. I mean, Ned gave his whole career to trying to win that 0-2 championship. Out there throwing 80-mile-an-hour fastballs. He had nothing left, but he wanted to win it for the Giants.
The 9th inning.
Yep. Forever. Smoke on the water. Let's go.
Yeah. So it'd be the Mason quarter in the 4th.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's not good. We got to come up with something better than that. Who's the most valuable of those 3 guys to get back? Was Trent Williams the factor the whole time?
For me, he's the most important. Yeah, I mean, that's the guy's protecting your quarterback's blind side, right? That's the side you run on. That's the best left tackle in all of football. To me, it's Trent Williams.
It's an extra yard per carry. Like that's the difference between 4.9 and 5.9 yards per carry this season for Christian McCaffrey on that left side.
It is interesting to say like that the left tackle is more important than their running back, but we have seen the 49ers have success running the ball, even if it's not Christian McCaffrey. Now, does it limit some of the other things you're able to do offensively? Does it make things a little bit tougher for Kyle Shanahan to kind of game plan for? Sure. But when you don't have Trent Williams out there, especially if you're talking about for an extended period of time, I don't want to know what that would look like for your quarterback when you already have the rest of the offensive line that's a question mark. Where they might do well, they might do good enough, but it's still a huge question mark. Having Trent Williams there protecting your quarterback's blind side, I think that's 1,000% a necessity. And I think the 49ers are a far better team for it.
We're talking about importance here. Let's get into it. MVP of the season for the San Francisco 49ers. Wink, you're up first. Who's the MVP of the team?
I mean, they're not going to give it to a guy like Trent Williams, but to me, I think if Trent Williams plays, every game this season, I think the 49ers have a great chance to go all the way to the Super Bowl. But if you're looking at it from an actual, name a guy as the MVP this season, I'm going to go Brock Purdy.
This is just your MVP. We don't have to worry about
then I'm sticking with Trent Williams. Easy.
You can't control how other knuckleheads are going to vote on things like that. This is for you. Who is the MVP of the team? It's Trent for you? Okay. Yeah. I said Brock Purdy yesterday when we were talking about that because I brought up this picture and I said, okay, I like the vibes here. Who benefits from this? And then you add Trent Williams on top of it. Brock Purdy benefits from all of them, right? So the picture again, by the way, for those of you only listening on the audio version of this podcast, Kyle Shanahan in his white suit, heavily imbibed, with a cane as well, with newly signed Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel. Croc, who's your MVP?
Well, real quick, there's another guy you just talked about in that picture, Deebo Samuel. News just broke. He just restructured his contract, freeing up $16.4 million in cap space for the 49ers.
Interesting. And I mean, the 49ers have a lot of money to roll over next year. And Malik, they added 3 void years to Malik Collins' contract. I think he's on the last year of his deal, and they added 3 more to it just to restructure him and add another $6 million. So they're definitely trying to move some money around to make sure they're able to pay guys now and especially into the future when they roll a big lump sum of cap money over and cap space over into next year, which is what I think all that is about. Maybe making sure they have enough space to add money to the deals they've had to add money to this year and still have all the money they want to roll over. So that's what the 49ers are doing right now. Everybody back in house, and the vibes are suddenly back to where we want them to be heading into week 1. We'll see if any of those guys are limited. We'll find out some more reports of that later on in the week. Let's finish up our conversation about MVPs, rookies of the year, division winners, playoff teams, and Super Bowl champions. And the Winkster is going to make his predictions for every week of the 49ers season. What is the 49ers record going to be in 2024 next? Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Yes, you can bet on the San Francisco 49ers today and every day at FanDuel. Week 1 against the New York Jets. That line is up. Niners favored in that one. You can bet on the 11.5 win total over under. We'll talk about that later on the podcast as well. Tons of prop bets. Every sport, every game this season, you can find it all at FanDuel, and a special offer for our listeners now through September 22nd. And to be honest, it's not just for our listeners, it's for all FanDuel customers. Now through September 22nd, bet just $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel.com.
Hey, Peacock, real quick. I know we talked about Trent Williams re-signing. We all kind of woke up to that news. Did you go over the specifics yet? Because I'm kind of looking at it here, and I saw numbers floating around, but to kind of read it in this way, I'm like, he got the bag.
Did he? I didn't know. I had not seen the numbers. Yeah. Were they released? Okay, well, hit me with were the numbers.
Here we go. 3 years, $82.6 million, $48 million at signing, and was it 25.6? I think per year, or is that signing bonus? SB.
Yeah.
What's the difference between at signing and signing bonus?
One's guaranteed, right? The 48's guaranteed. Is that how I take it?
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
So yeah, you have base salary plus signing bonus, or they might be counting a roster because it's guaranteed at signing. That means there's a future bonus that he's not paid yet, but it's guaranteed for him to get. So maybe his second year salary next year's is also guaranteed. So if it's 25 this year, 30 next year, that I'm not sure how it's exactly structured, but he was due to make $20 million base salary this year, plus I believe a roster bonus, so around $21 million. And then he had $5 million in fines, which can't be undone either. So he better have gotten more than $26 million this year, or else he's losing money, right? So that's Trent
career
Williams.
earnings. His career earnings, $358 million. 183 total guaranteed. He's the richest non-quarterback in NFL history.
Wow.
And I think he said something today that all 49er fans wanted to hear too. 36-year-old Trent Williams talking about wanting to play until he's 40. So that's great news.
Yeah. And so there was the talk of the retirement, and I never bought that because it's like, okay, you want to make $8 million more this year, so you're going to give up $20 million? It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? That doesn't make a lot of sense for a guy who wants to make a lot of money. And he's talked about how, he's not ready to go into retirement. And so I like the way what he said talking about his contract. He says, when I get a new contract, I stop thinking about that contract and start thinking about how I'm going to earn the next one. And I thought that was a pretty cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
And he's done that, and he's maximized his contracts multiple times in his NFL career. MVP this season for you, for the San Francisco 49ers, Croc.
Hey, let's mix things up. I think it is easy to say Christian McCaffrey. I think on our little NFC West kind of show, I'm like, Christian McCaffrey, but let's mix things up a little bit. Let's go Deebo Samuel. Let's go big year from Deebo Samuel. They continue to work to get the ball in his hands. We've seen throughout training camp, he's been more of a vertical threat. We got to see that on display at least once during the preseason. Deebo is a playmaker. I love Deebo. He's actually my favorite player on the 49ers to watch. Let's go Deebo Samuel for 49ers MVP. Another, not saying he's going to have 1,400 yards receiving, but hey, can he have 1,250 with another 300 rushing? And last year he had a sneaky, 11 touchdowns. Let's bump that number up to about 13.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take a kickoff back to the house as well. I'm glad you brought up Deebo because I was going to mention him if you didn't, Croc, because I think he's set up, especially early in the season. Talk about maybe being limited. Does Aiyuk play maybe 70% of the snaps he would normally play in week one if he was there all of training camp? Like DFS play in week one. Deebo Samuel's probably that guy. You might see a lot of Sauce Gardner if you're Brandon Aiyuk. So I think early in the season, I think Deebo Samuel's your guy. I see Wink smiling over there because he just drafted him in our fantasy football league. By the way, everyone says I hate running backs and kickers. Guess which two 49ers are on my fantasy football team? Christian McCaffrey and Jake Moody.
I mean, you had the first overall pick, so it's not like you were going to go somewhere else with that top pick.
I sure as heck wasn't going to take a stinky Dallas Cowboy like CeeDee Lamb or something like that. I might have gone Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson or Bijan. Was really I was trying to. There's a lot of 49ers fans in the league. I was trying to trade down a little bit. I don't want to jinx Christian McCaffrey. I was trying to trade down a little bit and get Bijan. He was my guy, but I couldn't make any of that happen. But I mean, there's no shortage of potential MVP candidates for the 49ers that could also win MVP in the NFL when you're talking about McCaffrey or Purdy. And so, especially those two guys. But
yeah, because we can sit here right now and talk about Fred Warner, right? Being the MVP of the 49ers.
Nick Bosa is truly, I think, maybe the most valuable player on the 49ers right now. If we're drafting 49ers, I might take Nick Bosa over everybody. Fred Warner and heart and soul players like George Kittle, like they're all so important. They're all on the same football team, which is why, of course, we're all going to pick the San Francisco 49ers to win the NFC West. So I'm not even going to ask that question. But I think we have to start talking about how many wins the 49ers are going to win this year. And the over, let's start with the over under, and then we'll get in the last segment, Wink, we'll get your actual week by week prognostication here, because I know the listeners want to hear it. Just straight up over under. Wink, are the 49ers going to go over or under the FanDuel 11.5 wins this year?
Over.
By a lot?
You'll find out in the next segment. Stay tuned.
Over. More than 11.5 on Wink's predictions, week 1 through 18 for the San Francisco 49ers. Croc, over or under? A week ago, I would have said under.
A week ago, the vibes were definitely off. And even then, I still kind of felt like, man, this is good enough coaching staff, to kind of get at least close to that. But right now, I'm definitely feeling the over. You say week 1, everybody outside of, your first round pick, but he wasn't even the guy who, was beneficial to you at all last year. You still won a bunch of games. So you got everybody coming back. Defense looks like it's primed to be really good. I feel like Deommodore Lenoir continues to take that next step. Talanoa Funga, he's getting back on the field. I'm feeling really good about where the 49ers are entering week 1. So yeah, as long as they can continue to stay as healthy as they are currently, I don't see how they don't go over 11.5 and say win like 13.
Imagine a week ago too, with the way the vibes were, no Trent, Christian McCaffrey not practicing with the calf injury, no Brandon Aiyuk. There was all the trade conversations. And then we're like, oh yeah, and someone's going to get shot next week. And the vibes are going to be up. You know what I mean? Like, how did we get here? What an insane offseason. I can't believe it. And I'm so glad there's actually games that we get to talk about now for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm so glad that the story, it's not done with Ricky Pearsall, but man, how that could have gone so much worse. And thankfully, it is not that sad ending of a story. And we'll see what happens after at least 4 weeks out on the NFI list for Ricky Pearsall. I can't wait to see what he looks like on the field because we haven't gotten to really see him. We haven't, like Aiyuk and Pearsall haven't practiced together ever. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of, like with Brandon Aiyuk back, we talked about this a lot, Croc. There's not a lot of targets available because you got McCaffrey, obviously. You got both your top all three of your top wide receivers back, Juwan Jennings as well, to go with Deebo and Brandon Aiyuk and George Kittle, right? So you have the 15 catches that Ray I always want to call him Armstrong. Ray McLeod had last year. That's all that's available.
Yeah. Unless they throw more.
I'll
Hopefully they don't.
So I'm not picking Ricky Pearsall for Rookie of the Year for the San Francisco 49ers, despite them drafting him in the first round. But we will answer that question. Offensive and defensive Rookies of the Year for the 49ers. And we're going to get Wink's picks all year long, every week, game after game. What is going to happen with these San Francisco 49ers from Winks for Damas?
Peacock, real quick. Ray McLeod last year, it was actually 15 targets. So not even 15 receptions, only 12 receptions, 135 receiving yards.
Maybe Shanahan cranks the dial, turns up the volume on the passing game. Is there 50 more targets in there potentially for somebody? And some of them going to the guys who are already coming back. I know Aiyuk already wants more.
That's even with Debo, Aiyuk. They missed some games last year. So you have to factor that in too. I mean,
we already want to see more for George Kittle. He deserves 8 to 10 at least every game. Christian McCaffrey can catch the ball. Hey, you know how you save the tread on Christian McCaffrey's tires? You just chuck it. Let's just chuck it all day long.
All day.
No chance Kyle Shanahan is doing that. He's going to run the heck out of the football. We know that. 49ers record, week by week. Winkstradamus time next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. It's the formula for winning championships. It's the patience part that's important for 49ers fans this offseason. And it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car into the MVP and bring home that W. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, vibes are high. I'm going over on the 11.5 wins as well. I've got the 49ers with 12 wins this year. Even if they hit some weird patches, even if they start a little bit slow, even on Monday Night Football, don't freak out. 49ers are going to go win the West. They're going to win at least 12 games and be in the mix for that 1 seed. And if you guys don't listen to the Peacock and Williamson show daily right here on this very Locked On podcast network, myself and former NFL scout Matt Williamson, we had the godfather of modern NFL football statistics, the inventor of the DVOA stat, Aaron Schatz, formerly of ESPN, was on our podcast. And he talked about how important it was to have Aiyuk back to maintain where the 49ers were so far ahead in his projected DVOA for the season. And it's really not close. And then you have way down here, the Detroit Lions as the second team in the NFC. Then the Packers are down there and the Cowboys are down around there. And it's really set up for the 49ers again in this Super Bowl window. So I like that opportunity. We'll get your opinions on Super Bowl here in a second, guys. But I think it's time. For those of you who don't know Nick Winkler, he is our weekly guest here on Winky Wednesdays, my former radio colleague, my former podcast co-host before I started doing Locked On 49ers. And last year, 13 straight, right?
12 straight.
12 straight. Exact hits. The 3-game losing streak, he had it. Exactly 12 in a row to start the season.
Which sounded crazy, right? I remember saying that when he gave his predictions. So you mean to tell me, Wink, the 49ers are going to start off winning their first 5 games. They're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys to go 5-0. And then they're going to lose to the Vikings, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Cleveland Browns? There's absolutely no way that happens. And he predicted that at the beginning of the season. A lot of people were they were a little upset with you, right? They were like, this is all Wink's fault. They were tagging us.
They loved him until the 3-game losing streak.
Right. Until then, I was everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it picked back up, and you got right back on track with your win. So I mean, to start a season, not just picking the correct record, because anyone can do that, but going game by game and having the correct wins and losses, including 3-game losing streak, that really was incredible.
That was phenomenal. So Wink, take us through 24. We trust you, man. What's going to happen? I'm going to throw a graphic up here too to kind of help us along for those of you watching on YouTube that has the schedule there. So how do you see this thing starting off, first of all, on Monday Night Football, Wayne?
Well, I mean, I woke up this morning and I had to just throw out all my old predictions because Trent Williams was back with the 49ers. So I was like, all right, starting from scratch. All right. So, obviously Monday Night Football, Jets, it's going to be a big one, having Trent back, having Aiyuk back, and start this thing off right. I see a win for the 49ers, hopefully a big win, and they can get some rest in the fourth quarter. Week 2 at Minnesota, another win. I see this one as a big win. I don't think the Vikings have a whole lot going on this year. So that's 2-0 out of the gate. At Rams, it's Levi South. It remains a thing. Kyle owns McVay. Let's keep that rolling. And then another win. Pats, easy win. They're not very good. Cards, I see this one as tough going into week 5. Sitting there 4-0, looking good. I still see the 49ers squeaking out the win, but this is one of those like, oh, dang, okay, so the Cardinals might be back as like a legitimate NFC West opponent. All right.
Yeah, so after a quarter of the season, the Cardinals, you start to see their vision and see what they could be in the future. Give you a tough matchup there. Little preview.
Yeah, you see Marvin Harrison Jr. and like, okay, I get it. This kid's good. And Trey McBride, he showed it at the end of last season. Like they got a lot going on there in Arizona.
But in the end, that defense doesn't have the firepower, can't stop the 49ers offense in week 5. So we got 5-0 again, starting out hot for the 49ers in 2024.
And now here's where the hate starts to come, right? We're talking at Seattle, week 6, short week. It's a Thursday night game. I do have the 49ers' first loss coming that week. I hate to do it because the Seahawks, it feels horrible. And then they lose the next week too at home to the Chiefs. And everybody's like, oh, God, the sky is falling. Oh, no, this is the worst thing ever. But don't worry, week 8 comes along and the Cowboys are trash. So they get back on track, 6-2 head into the bye.
Oh, just calling Cowboys straight. Because I was going to say, if you go 3 losses and it's the Seahawks, Chiefs, and Cowboys, there's going to be some really ticked off 49ers fans.
They're already going to be mad that I picked any losses. What? And we're going 17-0? What are you doing, Wink? Oh, yeah.
Mine's not quite that high right now.
6-2. Who would not be happy with 6-2 going into the bye week? Come on. It's good. Out of the bye week.
6-2 through 8 weeks going into the week 9 bye. Yeah, 6-2.
There we go. Perfect. Then, I hate the 10 a.m. start times, week 10, but it's at Tampa. It's coming off a bye. You got a little bit of time. I think there's a win there. Seattle back home. Revenge game after that week 6 road loss. Win for the 49ers. Here comes some more hate at the Pack. You hate to see it. Tough place to play, though. And I do think the 49ers are going to lose that football game and then lose the next week at Buffalo as well. That's 2 tough road games.
Oof.
Both of that. Yeah, I know. It's coming.
That is the toughest trip of the season for the 49ers. 12-13 after the Seahawks. Then they go Packers, Bills. This isn't an easy schedule. Cowboys, Chiefs, Packers, Bills. Those are all difficult games. And look, late season Cardinals, late season Bears, and obviously the team that you were in the NFC. So the NFC championship game matchup and the Super Bowl matchup are both on the regular season schedule for the 49ers, not to mention the Miami Dolphins. So like this schedule is not cake. Like it's not easy to sit there all day long over 11.5 wins. This is a difficult schedule for the 49ers this year.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the Bears are much improved too, right? So you're looking at that coming off of 2 tough road games. Back home, I do see them snapping the streak there, getting back in the win column. Rams the week after that. I just, again, we'll go back to the Shanahan-McVay thing. Like, it's just another win. At Miami, tough road game. But we all know what happens to the Dolphins at the end of the season, right? They start to fade. And I think they're going to do it again. Road win for the 49ers there. I hate to do it week 17, but I think this is going to be the wake-up call. This is going to be the game where they're feeling high, 11-4, looking good. At home against the Lions. Lions come in and do kind of what they did in the NFC Championship game in that first half, but they might extend a little bit longer and pick up the win there. At Arizona, win there, ride that wave into the postseason, 12-5, book it, 49ers.
12-5 San Francisco 49ers. Is that enough for the 1 seed in the NFC? Or did they lose it to Dallas in that week 17 matchup?
Or Detroit, right? I mean, you're looking at a Detroit team.
Detroit, yeah.
Yeah. I hope not. I hope it's enough, but if it's not, then you might have to play a road game in Detroit, which has shown that they are very difficult. It's a very difficult place to play.
So that really sets up redemption matchups to go beat the Packers, to go beat the Lions to go beat the Kansas City Chiefs and hoist that Lombardi wink. So what do you have happening after the regular season is over to the 49ers?
Yeah, I see it, man. I know we keep saying it every single year. The 49ers, this is their year, right? Well, they keep getting close. And I think this is the time where they actually get over that hump. But I don't think it's going to be against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I think it might be against the Houston Texans in the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
I like what they've done in Houston.
Kyle Shanahan versus D'Amico Ryans.
I like it. I like it.
I like it. And the 49ers victorious?
They don't have to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So
it's a cakewalk because there's no Chiefs.
Yeah. There's no Chiefs there. No Mahomes.
So D'Amico's going to do the Niners a favor by knocking off Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship?
I don't know. I think we might see a little nosedive from the Chiefs here at the end of next season. I don't know.
You can't three-peat. There's a reason teams don't win 3 in a row. The Roger Craig fumble, whatever it is. We saw the Patriots immaculate season. You win all the regular season games, that's cool. But guess what? There's a dude catching a football off his helmet and beats you in the Super Bowl, right? Like it's never that easy. The Chiefs aren't going to win the Super Bowl this year. It's not going to happen. This is the year for the San Francisco 49ers. Croc, you co-sign on that? Who's winning the Super Bowl this year?
I mean, you got to like the 49ers, but man, the Kansas City Chiefs is hard to pick against them. And I felt like if anybody was going to get the Chiefs and really feel good about it, it would have been last year where it felt like they were having a down year offensively. They weren't as good. You could see like some of the weapons, it was a little lacking a lot on Rashee Rice to be a guy. Travis Kelce was a little banged up early in the year. Like, oh, this is the year. Get the Kansas City Chiefs. They're down. They still won the Super Bowl. And it felt like this offseason, they only got better. Getting Sua Mata'ia, getting Xavier Worthy in the first round. You have a deep ball threat to go with Rashee Rice. And I don't know if we've heard, has Rashee Rice been suspended or they're not going to hand him down any suspension or anything?
On the commissioner's exempt list, which means that they're trying to figure out what the suspension is going to be. So it sounds like he is going to get some sort of suspension potentially.
At some point, yeah.
Well, he's likely going to be back. So it's hard to pick anybody other than them. It just is. But I'd say if there's anybody that has the greatest chance as anyone, it is the 49ers. The one thing I wish the 49ers, and I was talking about it to my buddies, and Lavelle Hawkins, man. Lavelle was like, guys, there's something about Kyle's offense, like that he does not like. And I'm like, well, it's one of the most efficient offenses in the league. He says a good regular season offense. They squeak by the Packers. They squeak by the Lions. They lost in a Super Bowl because he's like, there's something with his offense. So I don't know what that is. We'll figure that out. Is it only a good regular season offense? I think it's better than that. You always know with the 49ers, you're going to be in the mix. But hopefully the 49ers can expand a little bit more on what they do offensively, because it seems like come postseason time, some of the teams start to have a bead on what Kyle likes to do.
I mean, you have a lot of tape and you get better teams, better defenses in the playoffs. I think that's part of it as well. But even in previous years too, like Kyle's teams are always kind of squeaking by in those playoffs a lot of times. So there's been a lot of those squeaky wins in the playoffs, that's for sure.
Except for when Raheem Mostert ran for 1,000 yards in one game against the Packers.
That wasn't squeaky. That was just we're rolling right over you. Yeah,
we like that one.
You're right about that. You know what? You painted the picture. One big difference between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. 49ers just got back a Hall of Fame left tackle. The Chiefs, as good as I think Sua Mata'ia is, a rookie left tackle. Houston Texans, AFC Championship game. You got Will Anderson, who I think is going to explode in year 2 against a rookie offensive tackle. Maybe Nick Bosa in the Super Bowl against a rookie offensive tackle. Hasn't learned that you can just hold all day, even though I'm sure that's what Andy Reid's going to tell him. Hey, just hold all day, every day. Hold.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, hold 97. And could that be the undoing ultimately because you have a rookie blindside protector for you? That could be one of the weaknesses for that Kansas City Chiefs team. Does it does it cause turnovers? Does it cause somebody to get hurt? Right? You only need to miss one block and you're trusting a rookie out there. 49ers don't have that, thankfully, with Trent Williams out there. So interesting. It's going to be an interesting season. There's a lot of really good teams, man. And the AFC is a juggernaut. NFC, luckily, has just a few good teams, a few great teams. And the 49ers are the greatest. They're the best team. The money should be on the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl again and win it this time. Gosh dang it. San Francisco 49ers, this is the year, the trifecta of predictions from all of us here at Locked On 49ers. Go do it. Quest for 6. It's on. Let's end that quest in 2024. Thank you, Nicholas Winkler, for joining us once again. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We didn't get to Rookies of the Year. We'll answer some of those questions later in the week. We'll put it on the socials as well. Hit us up at BD Peacock, at Crocky209, at Bay Area Wink. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Drop a comment there. Of course, you can subscribe everywhere you listen to this podcast. Croc and I back tomorrow. Crossover style with John Butchko of Locked On Jets. We're here. It's regular season time. Talk to you then right here. Locked On 49ers.
Football. See you.
Hit the water anytime you want on your new electric party boat. Wow.